Well, hey, Scorpio, how about a reading from your metal dog? We're going to get some advice. Your ruling planet, Pluto, is in retrograde and doing a little review. So we're going to look at that as well and just see what is going on. I'm going to pull an overall card from the Pride Tarot, which I had put in another room for some reason. But asked to talk to you today and maybe to everybody because it is Pride Month. Okay. Yes, feeling this as your fellow Scorpio, we have the Hermit. To look at that for a minute. So yes, the Hermit. This is a card of review where you basically go alone and look to what has happened in your recent history and you look at that into that for the light that is inside of you, for the truth that you have come to understand. And that is exactly what I think of happening as Pluto appears to go backwards and is now entering into Capricorn, where we saw Pluto do a lot of work in all of our structures and systems recently. So if you can, it's a little bit of a difficult images, but you can see this quiet figure sitting here and then this flower, so representing you looking backwards. And on the table, the Hermit is looking backwards. So that's beautiful. What's going on underneath this? Your card, the King of Cups. You emotionally mature, quiet about your feelings. The King of Cups doesn't talk about their feelings because they have a whole kingdom to care for. So you may be feeling that. There's also the card of your fellow water sign of Cancer, the Chariot. Cancer friend of mine said what they identify with in this is that there's a figure in the shell, kind of like a hermit crab, and then there's all this stuff going on out in the world. I thought that added something really fantastic to my understanding of the connection between Cancer and the Chariot card. Chariot card is about feeling forward motion, momentum, the energy of being ready to start. So we can see on the table a couple of people in their feels, and we can see why there is a Ten of Swords here. This is you coming to terms with some kind of ending. These are the thoughts. This is your mind. The swords represent that. Air. And this is a really interesting. So this person's heart is open, and then there's all of these little beings coming out of this heart. And it looks rather painful, right? In some way, though, I feel like there's something really radical and productive and exciting coming out of that pain, which is a Scorpio energy, which is that energy of the Death card, which is that I'm also a Scorpio, when we survive pain, we rise from it. We're better for it. We're transformed by it. So there's a lot of very powerful reflection on who you are, this energy of the Chariot and this transformation I'm getting from this Ten of Swords. Like there's just some pain, and then there's all of this energy, like the Chariot kind of energy coming out of this ending, this loss. And Ten of Swords is one of the most painful cards in the tarot. So I'm sorry if you are having to look back on a recent pain. Okay. So now we're going to pull some cards and ask some specific questions about what's going on here. In addition to Pluto going retrograde, we have Venus going retrograde here in a few days. And so you can expect to review your love life. Old lovers come back. And then my dog is having his breakfast right now. So if you hear some crunching and munching, that's my Ganymede. Okay. All right. Yeah, without further ado, let us ask. So first of all, what is Scorpio releasing right now? Oh, sorrow. Three of Swords. Another one of those painful cards. So we can see here a bathtub and blood running down the drain. The swords. Wow, it's so we have this reference here to suicide. So that may be way more specific. If you've been having dark thoughts, well, this is time to let those go. This is some really good energy to leave behind, the energy of sorrow and all respect for grief. But this kind of suicidal ideation, this in the Three of Swords, your mind obsesses and it goes around and around like the water, or in this case, the blood going down the drain. Your mind goes around and around, and what it's doing is it's not letting go of something, and so it's sometimes represented as the three swords in the heart here. So this image of suicide, that if that's going on with you, please release that if you can. You know, I understand you're in pain now from looking at this, Scorpio. So yeah, the conflict between your heart and your mind, we want to release that. Okay, what shall Scorpio embrace? Failure. Well, geez, this is a Seven of Pentacles. It's a very dark card. It's a dark reading. Of course, Scorpio can handle it. Failure, the Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles is usually about having put something, a lot of effort into something and waiting for it to bear fruit. And I'm going to tell you that these cards are telling me that your the Ten of Swords here, there's something that you put a huge amount of energy into, and you need to let it go. And you need to embrace that it's not going to work out. And so that's not, it appears this is not easy for you. So this is a message that you need. And I am your tarot reader, and I'm here to carry it for you. So yeah, so there is failure. And so it's time to embrace that and release this rumination that it's just hurting your heart to ruminate. Okay. What are you revisiting as we see all of these? The Mage. So you learned recently, and this is what Pluto is reviewing, you learned your power. You have a power to manifest the world that you want to live in. And so what you focus on, you will manifest. So I see that what you were ruminating on is like and I see this rumination here, an infinity, which is a very powerful symbol. But here we can see this person is playing music. There's the cup, the sword, the pentacle, and where's the wand? Sometimes I have to pull it over here and look. Oh, the wand's kind of small. It's just lying there. So a small wand, that's your willpower, that's your passion, your creative genius. For me, what's actually coming in large is that cup. So there's a kind of emotional thing to look at. This person is being creative. We can see all of the light here representing that creative genius of the mage. But there's a kind of, yeah, I just really feel rumination and darkness. And so if we focus on darkness, and Pluto helps us, and Scorpios are good at looking into the darkness, maybe we are worrying that we caused this failure, right? So we want to look more at that. And so as you review that, right, we know you're reviewing your recent history. You're really looking into your emotions, into your watery depths. And so we can see that here in your card, the King of Cups. You can see there's a lot of impetus and momentum to do this. And it's so very much about you, like your fellow water sign Cancer, going alone, going into your hermit crab shell, while the rest of the world swirls around you so that you can make sense of this really painful loss and turn it into something productive. I think the thing that you're ruminating on is that you're reflecting on, to what extent did I manifest this? Where is my part? What did I do to cause this failure? Right? So that can be a trap that we can get into in our minds. And that's when our minds can hurt our heart, right? So let's see. What does the tarot want you to know that is currently hidden from you, Scorpio? Death. That's your card. So yeah, wow, something is really over, and you have the power to transform it. So we're going to learn more about how you transform this and how you make sense of your part in that. That's what I think. It's very clear, actually. And the future here ahead, Wheel of Fortune. So if you failed at something, luck is turning in your favor, my friend. So good news ahead. This is a fortunate reading of you processing something incredibly painful, looking at your part and transforming it. And in that process, we get to see your luck change with the Wheel of Fortune. Under this energy, interesting, quite a bit of stuff going on here, and I will share all of it with you. So underlying this reading is like more cards than I've already put on the table. So we got a story here. Let's see what it is. First of all, we got the Devil. So this, I think, is this idea and your doubt about yourself. The cup here, the Mage and the cup coming here says, so if you are struggling at all with addiction, this to me is coming in more as like your feelings, your emotions, your watery depths, and your willingness to look into that. But then also that how, if you're having emotions that are dark, that are self-defeating, like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love, I can't, that's the Devil. That's that Devil energy. So that's a part of what you're facing in this transformation process here. We also see the Seducer, the Knight of Cups. So this could be you. This could be how you are acting in the world. The Seducer in other tarot decks is always the Knight of Cups is not the Seducer, is not someone I think of as a seducer. I kind of think of like the Knight of Wands as that kind of player energy. But the ability of the Knight of Cups to really offer a heart, a true heart. Let's just say that wasn't the problem. There is some other problem with this Knight of Cups energy. And when I actually look at these humans in this, I really do see like a capacity to connect that's really beautiful. There's something around this. The Devil brings up addiction. The bar scene of this seduction brings up addiction, and the cup that the Mage is looking at. So there's something here. It doesn't have to be literally alcoholism, but there is in our patterns of living and of loving and of connecting, or of really failing to connect and make something happen. I can see that there is that affliction of mind and body. That is a part of this story for you. Now, the good news is you have a card here that beats the Devil, that beats addiction, and that is strength. And that is the ability to use your heart to overcome your beastly animal violence and addiction and the Devil. Right, and this card is actually pretty traditional, although revised. Look at this with the loving woman who's able to put her hand into the lion's mouth here. In the Urban Tarot, the lion is a statue. Where is this statue? Is that outside of New York Public Library? There's another card in here, the librarian. So I recognize her from that. So yeah, so there's like a really Yeah, so then we have the therapist, the Queen of Cups. So she's emotionally mature. She's good at talking about emotions. This is some of your energy, but it could be a good friend or a therapist or a counselor that helps you through. And these, I feel like there's self-doubt here with the devil, and you're questioning your Knight of Cups, that the way that you come forward with your heart. And you're looking at this conflict between your heart and your mind and the way that it hurts you, and you're trying to shift from that critical voice in your head that tears you apart, that has somehow been affirmed on the outside from this painful experience that you've had. And I would say you're looking to somebody else for counsel, possibly, but you're definitely mostly, and we see again the Hermit, you're mostly looking into your own inner light. So we've got the Hermit here twice. This is your overall card. And again, the Hermit, pictured here as a person on a subway. I always think of a person who lives on the streets, and then there's this kind of like haunting, it's very Scorpio reading, my dear. So yeah, you're looking to outside counsel, but you're also looking to your ability to process what you've learned from what you've gone through, and you're willing to look at not only the light but the dark in a very beautiful Scorpio way. And then strength being here means that you are able to really translate this through your heart, that your heart is the medium that translates this experience into a beautiful lesson. Nothing less than a tower event has happened, which is that something that was built on a shaky foundation inevitably will come down. Either you brought it down, or the world and the divine or the universe brought it down for you. And that's very painful and shocking, even if you had to do it. And finally, we see, and this is speaking to our future, right? This is your future. The Wheel of Fortune in this image echoes this for me. So this is a real 3D beginning, making something real in the world. So we can see after the tower, after it all comes down, death, your capacity to transform, to rise again, to begin anew. We see luck turning in your favor here, Scorpio. Okay, so let's clarify. I'm going to ignore the dark tarot that wanted to clarify. I'm going to use instead the Wild Unknown, which also said, let me. But there's a lot going on here, and this deck, the first deck I ever chose in its large form, equally competes with the dark tarot. So I want to clarify for you. It's much easier for me to read, so that's what I want. Okay, so what you are releasing is this sorrow, this 3 of Swords. Sorrow that can ultimately end up leading you into this suicidal darkness here. It's pretty serious, so let's find out more about that. The Truth, okay? Ace of Swords. All right, so some thought or truth about your ability to be the magician. Remember, we saw this here. This is what you're revisiting, magician. The truth is where you began in manifesting, and intuitive knowing, the High Priestess. Wow, very powerful, magical abilities. These are the 3 swords. The Ace of Swords, which is a difficult truth. The magician who uses that truth as a part of making a world. It feels like a difficult truth, and it's one that you actually intuitively knew. So this is why you're going around and around, is you saw the signs, and yet you, like the magician, you wanted this enough that you tried to make it happen. And so you're going around and around in this. And I think you're beating up on yourself about it. Like we Scorpios, we choose something and we fix on it. We do fixed sign. I'm doing all the fixed signs readings. Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus. All the fixed signs with Scorpio. We finish it. We stick. This means it's hard to quit. You know you need to quit. You knew you needed. You might have even known you shouldn't even have started it in the first place. But the fact is, like, you wanted it and you made it, and you knew you shouldn't. So you're kind of going around and around, and so quit it. Right? That's the devil. That's your self-defeating thoughts about how you went about this. Right? And you may have a pattern here, so you're seeing the pattern. But we can beat ourselves up with patterns. So we need to just accept this failure. And this really reminds me of the Tower. I really see this made me think of not this particular tower, but any tower. Failure, a 7 of Pentacles. It was, you put a lot into it, but the foundation was flawed. And so inevitably, and you knew it, right? And that's why you're beating yourself up. You knew it. You're unable to manifest this. That's the lesson here. Okay? So let's see. We're going to embrace this. There's like some peace that can come with acceptance. It's almost, the Strength card is like, okay, I accept this. I accept this is over. It's a failure. And, but let's see. 6 of Cups. Okay, so there was some inner child work here. There was soulmate connection. There was undefended love. This is why you're hermiting, right? You're looking at your history. This is all about the past. Nostalgia. So that's, embrace and forgive yourself for buying into this in some way, even though you really tried hard. So there were some control issues, small world view, control, fear, holding on to a few when you could have so much. And Daughter of Pentacles, the young energy, really hopeful, really like rainbow, beautiful possibilities. I love the deer in this deck. So there was like, the failure here is due to 2 things. One is stuff from the past, inner kid stuff, like things that happened when people were kids. It caused control, but it also has kept people immature, right? So there's, the past is the reason for this failure. The past, perhaps as you have internalized it, or other people involved in this, or events, there's some old stuff that helps the devil get a hold of you, right? Like, so like I like to do inner child readings, high priestess readings. Like, these show us what we know. We come from things, and then they get us trapped emotionally into this 3 of Swords, sorrow that can really hurt us. So I want you to embrace that you're powerless over this, and just embrace this failure and accept it. Let it go. Failure is going to be a hard word for you. That's what I keep hearing that. I don't like that word, failure. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. That's what you have to embrace. And then the cards are just giving you some gentleness to help with that word failure, which is this is big old stuff. And you or whoever else is involved in this, they weren't willing to release the small world view and grow up and deal with the past. It's you or them or both, right? So it's old trauma here that is the cause of this failure. This is at the foundation, is why the Tower had to come down. Okay, so you are revisiting what you learned recently about your power to manifest the world that you focus on, right? So we're looking at that. We're looking at that drink. that cup, those emotions. Let's look further at that. The Hierophant. So this is tradition. It's a teacher. It's also history in the larger sense. So if the Hermit looks at your personal history, the Hierophant looks at a larger historical context. What else? There's your Three of Swords. Okay, let me pull one more card here. And the Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles is very beautifully about collaborating with others and making something real. And everybody adds something to that. So what I get from this is that in that collaboration, everybody has to bring something to it. And I keep getting that, like the three cards that I pull to clarify as a usual practice are coming into me as like the Three Swords and the Three Pentacles. Like, you're not the only one involved here. That's the message. So you, as you review your personal part in this heartbreak, this loss, this ending, this Tower, this Ten of Swords, it's very painful, Scorpio. As you review that, you may be inclined to blame yourself. And there's really a power in like looking at your part and inventorying that. And there's freedom to be found in cleaning that up. But you can't do it alone. And so you have to let the other people, and there's three people. It could be more. It's not, there's not like a romantic connection here, except say in the Seducer card here, right? So like if it is that, so I think why I like kind of a couple, like if you have your heart broken in a romantic sense, like, even though you were just in a couple, there was like a third entity involved. The Hierophant tells me that third entity could be as big as structures of power, right? So, for example, if you're in a gay love relationship, you're dealing with homophobia, right? So that's entering in and troubling your ability to manifest this beautiful vision. It could also be that history in a larger sense, like so like if we just take a history of gender, right? So if you're not in a gay relationship, or even if you are like in some kind of relationship where gender ideology comes between you, there's a long history of this, right? So think about history, both your personal history and the people involved in this heartbreak, but also like history in the larger sense and structures of power and hierarchy and inequity. These are coming in here. I don't think there's an accident that I wore this shirt today with the triangle, right? So it's you, and then there's two other beings involved, right? We see that here again, right? You cannot build this alone. You needed the other participants they're accountable too. Okay, so the message here is if you're ruminating and you're beating up on yourself and it's all your fault and you do this and this is your pattern over and over and over and what's wrong with you, okay, back off that. You're beating yourself up. Be gentle with yourself. What you need to know is that yes, you had a part. We always do have a part, but the other people have parts too. Okay. And you've done all you can do is acknowledge it and clean it up, right? And move on. And here we go. There's death. This is what the tarot wants you to know. You are able to, in this case, do the autopsy, right? There's a body on the table. You're doing the autopsy. There's the heart. I love that the heart is, and its network of connections to the body is centered in this particular death card. Let's see. What about it? So there is Seven of Swords, dishonesty, theft, deception, secrets. Scorpios, we like our secrets, right? We find them alluring. A dilemma in your mind, the choice, an eclipse. One idea must eclipse the other. And there's your strength card. There's that beautiful lion coming forward like a Knight of Cups with a rose in its teeth. That infinity sign, which we are seeing in this reading, having to do with rumination. Strength, beautiful. Okay, so this is you. I think you're this little fox going alone into your secret, private truth, with your truth, right? Into your darkness, the way Scorpios can, and then you're looking at what's true. Is this true or is this true? And those are the thoughts that the devil's were hurting you with, right? You're doing this to your heart with your thoughts, and then the strength here comes in to defeat that. This is how you transform the darkness. There's the sun. This is a card of Leo, your fellow fixed sign. One of their cards. So we can see this beautiful transformation from this process of hermiting, of going alone and looking at your truths and your stories, and then coming out of it better for it, wiser for it, stronger for it. And in the future, the Wheel of Fortune turning in your favor. So let's see. It's a good reading, Scorpio. It looks very, very painful. And your capacity and willingness to analyze yourself, like the therapist, like the hermit, is, I admire it. I aspire to this. And I believe, I go dark, but I'm an optimist, right? So I believe in the power of death and the power of the tower, and that the Wheel of Fortune does turn. And that we can transform pain, misery, loss, disappointment, failure even, in a very, very beautiful way. And that's what this reading is about. So, Wheel of Fortune. So there's that feeling of abandonment, of grief, a Five of Pentacles, poverty. Then what? The Wheel of Fortune, turning away from that. Aw, beautiful. Towards, wow, the Lovers. So, the Lovers, this is, talk about a soulmate connection. This is a really powerful connection on all levels. Beautiful. It can also be a beautiful choice of any kind. It's a very big, beautiful turning. So if this is a relationship that didn't work, there's one ahead that's beautiful. It's the ideal relationship. There's some kind of collaboration here in the failure, so you don't take all of the credit and all the blame for that failure, but in the future we also see you collaborating in a very beautiful way, and so we really are seeing this transformation process with strength going into the Lovers through the turn of fortune. The couple cards underneath here. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so we have friends, friendship, emotional connections, your heart people. There's that three again, right? The three parts of the triangle, right? We keep getting reminded to consider others are involved. There's work to be done. Everybody has to do the work, not just you. It's not all your fault. There's a time of being stuck. We see this is where you are. You're in the Hangman. You're stuck. You're looking. You're trying to see things from a new perspective. And when you do see things from a new perspective, there you will see the light. And this is your inner light. This is what the Hermit is looking into. The Hermit here twice. This is a burden. You can put down this burden. When you put down this burden, there's the light. So this is the 10 of Wands. We got the 10 of Swords here. These are difficult cards. Scorpio, you are transforming something very painful, a huge burden. You're looking at it. You actually need to accept that you can only do your part and others have to do theirs. And others are part of this failure, right? And it's old. It goes back to childhood, not an inability to mature, control issues, right? So that's some of that's yours and some of that's theirs. Everybody has to do the work. You can only do you, right? Strength is yours. And when you do you get to put down a burden. And I think the burden is you might be taking responsibility for the other actors involved in this really painful situation that you put a lot of heart and work into and has and needs to be let go of. Okay? So Scorpio, I'm sorry. This looks hard. I relate. In my way, I'm going through something very similar, and this is a good message for me to receive as well. I'm personally not doing this alone. I'm getting a lot of help from people I trust, Hierophant type people, therapist type people, wise elders with great perspective. So I also turn to my own inner wisdom like the hermit here. And I trust our Scorpio capacity to transform terrible loss and pain into something really beautiful and promising. And that's what I see on the table for Scorpio. So let me know. I hope this helps you. And if it's not your reading, don't make it your reading. It may be useful to you at another time. Or perhaps it's a story from your past. Okay, I will say goodbye, my friends. Have a beautiful day.